Hey, good afternoon, guys. Mark Thompson here. How is everybody doing today? Another gorgeous day here. We'll get started in a few minutes. Feel free just to say hi, that you can hear me and see my screen okay. Today, we're going to be talking about traffic strategies, product marketing strategies. Don't be shy. Say hi. Hey, what's up, Dave? Looking forward to it. Awesome. Very cool. Welcome, guys. I see a bunch of people coming on. Hey, Andy, what's up? What's up? What's up? All right. How's everybody's week going so far? It's bittersweet. This is our last week together. So hope that you guys have been having a great time. Like I said, this week this session we're going to be talking all about traffic, and then we're going to be talking about on third or no tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be our last session at same time, 2 o'clock, and we'll do kind of a more informal Q&A. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Andy's hanging loose like a spruce goose. Wow, I never heard that one before. I like that. uh, Today's a big day in North Carolina because it's primary voting. So there's political signs and ads all over the place. I just can't wait for it to be over with. My God, it's just starting to get annoying. So it's been kind of a crazy day here. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. It's got a few more people coming on, but no worries. This is a very important topic that we're going to be talking about, and this is probably one of the most asked topics: is how do I drive traffic? How do I build a following? All that kind of stuff. And so, hopefully, this will help give you a lot of good tips on how you can drive traffic to anything, really, your offers, your sales pages, your webinars, your whatever it may be. So let's go ahead and get started. Um, so let's talk about just the different types of traffic, because when you talk about traffic generation, there's lots of different types of traffic, right? There's free, there's organic, there's short term, there's long term types of traffic, and so it's important to understand that not all traffic is created equal. Okay, I'll give you a really good example, and then we'll talk more in depth on it. But so I had a blog for a number of years. This is when I was kind of first starting out in internet marketing. And I would notice, like, I'd get these traffic spikes, and I'd be like, man, that's awesome. Like, I'd get a few hundred or even a few thousand people to my site. And some, like certain blog posts would go viral. And I'd be like, oh, this is great, man. I just got like 3,000 new people to my site. Here was the problem. The problem was that traffic that was coming in was coming from a viral stumble. So, like, if any of you guys know what stumble upon is, people stumble content and basically they like it. Okay. And a lot of people that use stumble upon or that part of that network, it can generate a lot of viral traffic. The problem was that when you go and you analyze that traffic, the bounce rate was like 90%, meaning they'd go and look at the post and they would never actually do anything else on the site. And I would never see that visitor again. And while it may look cool or it may look good to see, oh, well, I just had 3,000 people, or I had 10,000 people come to my site. So what? It doesn't mean anything, right? It's almost like having an email subscriber that doesn't buy anything from you. Okay. It's great to have that email subscriber, but if you can't turn that subscriber into money, then what's the point, right? What it's so you have to understand that when you're generating traffic, not all traffic is created equal. Okay, there's pros and cons to every single type of traffic source, and there's no necessarily right or wrong traffic source, but it's important to understand the pros and cons. Okay, now what I always feel is that it's priority number one to get the subscriber. Okay, get the person onto your email list. Okay, and there may come a point in time when it's like, hey, well, let me get them to be a Facebook fan first, right? So that may be the secondary goal, but the primary goal is to get them to become an email subscriber. And sometimes it's hard to get people to become an email subscriber until you've built some value with them, okay, through your content. Okay. Now, when it comes to free traffic or really any type of traffic, your content is really what's going to help to build your audience and keep people coming back, which is so important. Okay. So it's important that we target properly with our traffic, right? Again, not all traffic is created equal. Certain types of traffic is just better than others, right? And it's different for every industry. Okay. Whatever niche that you're in, it's going to be different. Okay. And it's also important not to just rely on one traffic source. Okay. You hear this all the time where, oh, well, we were paying $5,000 a month to one of the best SEO firms in the world, and they were driving all these backlinks, and we were ranking for all these keywords, and we put all of our eggs into that one basket, and lo and behold, we were ranking really well. Then all of a sudden, Google changed their algorithm, and they found that some of the backlinks that we had were spammy or weren't what they were looking for. They changed whatever it is, and then all of a sudden, we were generating thousands of visitors a day to barely having 100 visitors a day, right? And so if you put all of your eggs in one basket, then obviously, you could have a thriving business one day, and then overnight it could completely cripple your business, right? So it's important not to ever do that. And same thing with like paid traffic, right? I mean, you could be doing Facebook ads all day long and spending lots of money on Facebook ads and driving tons of traffic through Facebook ads. But what if, for whatever reason, Google does or Facebook doesn't like one of the ads that you run and they ban your account? I mean, this happens all the time. This happened to me a year or two ago. Like, we were driving traffic to one of our sales pages, and they Google didn't like, or I'm sorry, I keep saying Google, Facebook didn't like, I don't know, a certain part of the ad copy. They banned the account, couldn't get that ad account back, right? So it's important to not rely on just one source of traffic. Okay. um, Now, the other thing is, don't ever put the cart before the horse. Okay. You need to know ahead of time how you're going to generate traffic, right? Because what happens is, and so, one of the problems that I had was, I started when I first created a blog, I was like, you know what? If I just create the content, people will come, right? I mean, if I just create good content, people will come. And that's not the case. Okay. You need to have a strategy for an outreach strategy. You need to have a strategy for how you're going to get eyeballs on whatever it is that you're going to be, promoting, right? And especially if you're trying to generate, free traffic, right? Whether it's through a viral campaign or SEO or, whatever, social media, whatever it may be, you need to have some sort of plan in place to drive that traffic. Okay. Now, you also need to know who your target audience is. Okay. And like I said, not all traffic is created equal. And if you're targeting the wrong platforms, you could drive a lot of traffic, but if it's not converting, then it was a waste of your time. Okay. So you need to know where your market is hanging out. Okay. Hopefully, you're entrenched in your business and your industry enough that you know where people are hanging out. Okay. What social media sites are people going to? What blogs are people reading? What podcasts are people listening to? Okay. Um, and it's important that you understand. And sometimes it can just be as simple as doing a basic Google search, right? Internet marketing forums, internet marketing blogs, internet marketing Facebook groups, internet marketing LinkedIn groups, all those, right? Just basic searches. Okay, so if you don't know, start off with just some basics, and you'll find those places, right? Now, I also recommend that you create a product before you even start worrying about traffic. Okay, because like I said, you could spend all the time in the world creating traffic. Now, once you have traffic, it's easy to monetize that. Well, I should say, once you have subscribers, it's easier to monetize those subscribers. Okay. But I always say, hey, why not monetize them from day one? So have something to sell them. So I always like to say, hey, create the products. Okay. You'll have something that's ready to sell, right? And then drive traffic and monitor how well it's converting. Okay. And then put more time and effort into the traffic sources that are doing better. Okay. So for example, where does your audience hang out? Okay. And so a really good, I mean, like I said, every industry is a little bit different, right? You look at something like Facebook, okay? Are more people spending, are more men spending time on Facebook than women? Where do they live? What type of age demographics? Generally, Facebook has more women on Facebook, okay? They're younger people, between 18 and 30, okay? Their income, so it's important to look at these things, right? And so, there's a big difference between, say, someone on Instagram and someone on Facebook. Facebook's a little bit more diverse, where it's spread out over people from 18 to 65. Instagram is more of it's a newer platform. So the younger people have adopted it, right? Things like Snapchat. Snapchat is primarily dominated by young people because it's more because it's more about pictures and video and that type of sharing, and so that's more for the younger crowd. Okay, LinkedIn is more for an older crowd. Okay, and more of a professional crowd. Okay, so there's so many different networks out there and platforms. It's important to know, be strategic about what platforms you go after. Okay, now also you need to be looking at who is engaging, right? Because I mean, you can do a lot of research, but until, once you get real data, that's when you can really tell, hey, my efforts on Facebook, my efforts on Pinterest are paying off. And you can look at it and see, okay, well, what, are people engaging through our content strategies? What platforms are people using to engage more? More visits, more less bounce rate, more interactions, more likes, that kind of stuff. So it's important to install Google Analytics because it'll provide you with all of that data. Okay. Now, like I said, there's lots of different types of traffic. You can really break them down into two buckets. The first one being free, the second one being paid. Now, with free, okay, most people think, oh, it's free, right? It's free traffic, but there's really no such thing, right? Because yes, while search engine optimization or a content marketing strategy or social media, while it may be free to the fact that you're not paying for a click, you're still spending time, energy, resources to develop an SEO strategy or to develop a content marketing strategy. Okay. So you may be paying for people to help you with this type of strategy. So when people say free, keep in mind there's no such thing. Okay. Now, paid is more cut and dry, right? Like you pay for the impressions or you pay for the clicks, and it could be through a banner, it could be through a text link, it could be through a Facebook ad or a retargeting ad or whatever it may be. Okay. So it's important just to kind of understand there's lots of different types of traffic. And again, there's no right or wrong approach, but you also need to have a system in place to monitor how well traffic is doing, especially when it comes to paid. Okay. Free traffic is a little bit harder to monitor. Paid is much easier because you can say, hey, well, I spent $100, I got this many clicks and this many people purchased, right? But then again, you have to always remember some people may not buy, but they may, there may be a branding play there where, okay, well, now I know who this brand is. Maybe I liked them on Facebook. Maybe I became an email subscriber, and then they later turn um, into a paying customer, right? So for me, I'm always trying to figure out how can I get people onto my email list, because that's the best way that I have a chance to make money from them, right? Because I could drive paid traffic to my blog, and while that's all good, that's great for, providing value and stuff, I want to get them on my list because I want to be able to get them coming back to my site time and time again. Okay. And I'll talk about some tips on how you can get people coming back to your site through lots of different techniques. Okay. Now, there's also short-term and long-term traffic strategies, right? So there's free versus paid, and then there's short-term versus long-term. So something like short-term would be affiliate traffic, right? Where you say, hey, affiliate, I'll give you X percentage. You drive traffic to my offer, and I'll give you 50% of the sale, right? That's instant short-term traffic. Okay. A retargeting ad where someone comes to your site, you cookie them, and you serve ads to them, trying to get them to come back to your site. Okay. A Facebook ad, same thing, right? You turn on your Facebook ads, you're displaying your ad to a certain segment, and you're driving clicks, traffic to your site. Okay. Solo ads, same thing. A solo ad is basically you pay someone to send out an email with a link back to your site using their email list. Okay. And then just like your own internal email list and banners as well, right? So those are all short-term traffic. So you need to understand what is your overall goal, right? So I'll give you a good example. So we launched Sales Envy on Thursday, a product, right? So we did an official product launch. So we're doing a combination of a few different things. We're bringing affiliates on board to promote, right? We're doing some retargeting ads. Okay, so we're targeting them after people have come to the site. We're also doing emails, right? And we're also doing Facebook ads. So we're doing a combination of those things, and we're doing a short-term strategy there because it's only a 7-day launch, right? Whereas with our digital Kickstart brand, that's more of our long-term strategy, right? Where we're just trying to build a long-term brand where people will start to follow us and they'll, eventually, hopefully, buy a product that we have. So that's where the long-term strategy comes into play, right? Where there's content marketing and social media marketing and SEO, right? That's more of a long-term play. So I always like to have a hybrid approach of driving short-term and long-term traffic. Okay, because there's nothing worse than, and I used to deal with this all the time when I would manage SEO campaigns for businesses where they'd be like, hey, we want to drive traffic to our site, and we'd be like, well, hey, well, we think that you should do some SEO, and we try to come up with a comprehensive approach where it's doing short term and long term. But sometimes they're just like, no, we want to put all of our eggs into the SEO basket, right? And we try to explain and show expectations ahead of time and say, well, hey, depending on which industry you're going for, which keywords you're trying to target, you may not see results for 6 months, 12 months, depending on how competitive the market is, right? So what I always like to say is, well, hey, why not let's do some paid advertising so we can get some short-term results and traffic, right? While the SEO, the content marketing, the social marketing is building up. We're building our audience, right? So I never like to just stick to just one source of traffic. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, these are all just tactics, right? These are when, Facebook ads, SEO, these are all just tactics that are driving traffic to your site. You ultimately need to have a plan in place to convert that traffic, right? So these are all just tactics. And I could mention 1,001 different ways to generate traffic, right? I could mention commenting on blogs, posting on boards, posting on Facebook and Twitter, LinkedIn, starting a blog, speaking at conferences, posting YouTube videos, doing guest blogs, writing press releases, posting a slideshow, starting a podcast, set up a retargeting campaign. I could go on and on and on for all these different tactics. Okay. But at the end of the day, you need to have a strategy for what are you going to do when that traffic's there? How are you going to turn it into profit? And if you don't have an answer to that, you shouldn't be worrying about any of these traffic techniques. Okay. So that's the question you need to ask yourself. Okay. Once I get people to wherever it is I'm driving them to, how am I going to monetize them? Right? Am I ultimately going to get them onto my email list and then they go through an autoresponder sequence where then I drip feed emails to get them to buy my product? Am I pitching them right to a sales page? Am I getting them onto a webinar, of which on the webinar I monetize it? So always think about that in the back of your mind. How are you going to monetize it? Don't just drive traffic to drive traffic. Okay. But it's also important to know ahead of time, where is the traffic already going, right? Are they already going to a product launch, a popular blog post, an affiliate list, a forum? Okay. And so, for example, for a product launch, okay, when I get people to a product launch, I want them to go into an autoresponder sequence of which they go into my members area, and then they interact with the product that they purchased, and then I try to drive them into a high ticket webinar, right? Whereas with a popular blog post that I may be sending people to, I want to get people to comment. It could be a backlink opportunity, could be a guest post opportunity for an SEO perspective. But okay, I'm also thinking in the back of my mind, how can I get them onto my email list, right? From my email list, I may be trying to build relationships, build affiliate and JV partners, may be able to do some sort of an ad swap or a solo swap. Okay, but that's targeting more of my affiliates. Okay, or a forum, right? I may want to connect with the admin and leave a comment, ultimately getting them going back to my site. So I'm trying to find where is the traffic going to, and I want to try to get them back and leverage that content, or leverage where the traffic is already going to get them back to my site. Okay. Now, like traffic for product launches, right? I have affiliates, email, Facebook ads, retargeting. Okay, those are generally the sources of traffic that tend to work best for product launches, right? Because if you're bringing on affiliates, okay, the right type of affiliates, they usually have email lists that are relevant to whatever the product is that you're offering, right? Or your own internal email list, or Facebook ads, right? You're targeting people who meet a certain criteria or are in part of a specific segment that you want to target. Or retargeting ads, these are people who already came to your sales page but didn't buy, but they've been exposed to your product and service. Okay. Now, something like traffic for a SaaS application is a little bit different, right? A SaaS application generally is going to cost a few $100s a month, okay, or is a subscription model where they may not buy from you after 1, 2, 3 exposures. So content marketing is a great way to build a long-term brand and influence, okay, and ultimately get them to become a long-term subscription-based customer. Okay. Also, using affiliate email marketing and retargeting can also be a nice mix for SaaS applications. Okay. Now, in terms of SEO tactics, the last thing you want to have to do, guys, is rely solely on SEO and hope in the long term you're going to be able to drive traffic. Because especially, oh well, my I have a Facebook product. Well, I'll just try to target the term Facebook marketing, and hopefully I can rank, right? If that's what you're relying on, then um, then if that doesn't follow through, or if that doesn't work, then what do you do? What do you fall back on, right? And understand that SEO is not free, right? I mean, you can do some things like on-page meta tags, and you can create content, but you also need to have backlinks, and that kind of stuff takes time and effort, right? And for me, the way that I look at SEO nowadays, SEO has drastically changed, to the fact that it's more natural, it's more organic. As you start to build your brand, people are talking about you on social media, and things become viral. That's when you start to generate more organic traffic. So to me, SEO is a byproduct of just being engaging and building your brand and using lots of different techniques for driving traffic to your site. Okay. Now, there's things like viral or organic traffic. And this is probably one of my best examples that I can show you. So I did a post called 100 Marketers You Must Follow on Twitter. Okay. Nowadays it has like over, hundreds of comments. We had thousands of retweets and Facebook likes and tons of backlinks. And all I did was I went out and found 100 marketers, and I did a little screenshot of their Twitter profile, did a little blurb about them. Now, this took a lot of time to create. I mean, I did 100 marketers, okay? But I was very strategic about this, right? Where I said, hey, if I feature 100 marketers that are very well known, I can leverage their followings, right? So people like Mari Smith and Andy Beal, all these guys, I basically wrote a little blurb about them, and reached out to them and said, hey, I wrote a blog post. You're mentioned in it. And guess what? It was something like 60 or 70% of them actually promoted it to their audience. Well, guess what? The people that are following them, they probably don't know who I am up until, Mari Smith or Andy Beal or any of these guys started promoting me, right? So while this blog post took a long time for me to create, I was very strategic about it. It's called like an ego post, where you're stroking the ego of these big marketers to hopefully tell their fans and following about you, and then getting these people to come back to my site, leave a comment, engage with my brand, follow my brand, and get on my email list, right? So that was the ultimate goal of this piece of content. So I didn't just create this piece of content for the sake of creating content. Okay, I had a very specific strategy in mind. Okay, and it paid off. Okay. Now, here's another strategy of viral organic traffic, right? I drove people to this opt-in page, okay, and I got people to this opt-in page through my own affiliate partners, through paid ads, and I said, hey, discover how I boosted my list by 257% overnight using 100% free viral word of mouth marketing. So I got people onto my list, okay, so that was one thing right there. Then after they opted in, I got them to go to this thank you page that specifically designed it, and we're actually using the product. We're demoing the product while they're opting in. So they're opting into my list. A lot of them bought the product because they liked the strategy that I was showing them, and then three, they were getting great content, right? So it said, grab your free report. Oh, by the way, if you share this report with X number of people, you'll unlock these rewards. So I was getting viral traffic from it because people were sharing it on Facebook, sharing it on Twitter. They were earning rewards and referral bonuses, and they were getting additional content. Okay. So again, a very specific campaign for how I was driving viral organic traffic. Okay. Video marketing. Okay. Another strategy for driving traffic. Mike from Maine, I think I talked about this guy a number of times. He goes out and he interviews people. Okay. So one way that I was able to drive traffic back to one of my sales, one of my offers, was he interviewed me. He did a product review of the product. He put a link in the description on YouTube. And now when you search for Webinar Ignition review, he's one of the top results. And so this was from an affiliate partner who reviewed the product. Okay. Another way that I was just able to drive organic traffic. I understood that people searching for products, YouTube videos show up very, very well in the results, right? YouTube is owned by Google. So it makes sense that Google would place YouTube results in the search results. So a very strategic way of doing a review about a product, getting it to rank well, and generating for their affiliate, generating commissions, for me as the vendor, generating sales. Okay. Podcast is another way, right? One of the things that I did a lot of research. I understand that a lot of people in my industry, internet entrepreneurs, tech business owners, they like podcasts. Okay. And so that's one of the reasons why we created a podcast. Okay. And I noticed that guys like Russell Brunson and digital marketer and all these guys, they all have podcasts, and it's a great way to deliver value. And so for one, I'm building, for everybody that I interview, I'm building a personal connection with these people. So that just helps grow my affiliate base. Okay. But two, for the people listening, we also do some soft selling on these podcasts to hopefully get them to buy products. And so we're siphoning traffic from places like iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, all of these different podcast directories, if you will, where there's hundreds of thousands or millions of people listening to these podcasts. I'm able to drive traffic that way. Okay. Guest posting, right? This is a great way to leverage an existing audience and get people back to your site, right? So, if you have a product or a service that's relevant to a specific niche blog, and you notice that there's lots of people engaging on there, right? Lots of shares, lots of comments, lots of RSS subscribers. There's no reason why you shouldn't go out and contact them and say, hey, I'd love to write a guest post for you, as long as I could have a link back to my site, right? And it can help drive hundreds, if not thousands, of visitors back to your site where they may not have even known who you were, right? If you didn't do this. So you're just, again, leveraging other people's followings, okay? And that's how you can attach your name and brand to these followings. Okay. Your Facebook page, right? Just another way. Everybody's on Facebook nowadays, right? It's almost like for almost any type of business or industry, you should have some sort of a fan page or a group, right? And so whenever we create new content, whether it's our podcast, our blog, a webinar, we're always posting that content here on our fan page. Okay. And so we'll always get people to like our content on Facebook. Okay. YouTube following. Ty Lopez is one of the biggest, I think he has one of the biggest channels out there. It's almost 500,000 subscribers. And he uses video to help convey his message. So he has a program called the 67 Steps. and he goes out and he drives paid YouTube paid videos to back to his channel so people subscribe, right? And so a lot of his content that he creates is all video based, and then he gets people and he sells on video. Okay. Instagram, right? He also has a really big Instagram following. He knows that his audience is relatively young, okay, and relatively male, and there's a lot of male young entrepreneurs on Instagram. So that's another thing that he does. He does a lot of short videos and images on Instagram. Okay, same thing with Periscope, right? Periscope is another new upcoming live streaming application. A lot of young people. That's why he does Periscope as well. Same thing with Snapchat and Twitter. Okay, so what you need to be thinking about is having a home base for your content, right? Everything fuels off of your content, whether it's a blog post, a podcast, a video. You always need to be creating content, okay? And all of these channels are going to help help get the word out about your content and build your brand, right? Because for every retweet, every like, every follower, people are sharing your content and they're becoming basically brand ambassadors for you, right? They're telling other people about your content, and that's how people find you, right? If you're not creating content, then people aren't going to talk about you, right? People aren't going to want to like you on Facebook. People aren't going to want to tweet about your homepage, right? I mean, that's not interesting. So always keep in mind, to me, traffic generation, if it's free traffic, okay, if it's free traffic, I'm talking about SEO, social media, that type of stuff, that all relates to content. Okay, so the marketers who can create the best content and content the most efficiently and effectively wins, essentially. Okay, there's a reason why guys like Ty Lopez, who have a massive following, okay, why his business makes multiple millions of dollars every year. Okay, because he and his company are great at creating content. Okay, now with that being said, I would strongly recommend not focusing on more than two properties at a time. Okay, so what I mean by that is find out where your audience is hanging out and don't spend more of your time, money, and resources on more than two properties. Okay, so maybe it's Facebook and Snapchat, or maybe it's Facebook and Periscope. Okay, the reason that is because, especially when you're just starting out, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. Okay, I think it's important to maybe have profiles for each of, for Twitter or whatever, and you could syndicate your content onto those. But um, where you build the majority of your following, focus on those two properties. Okay, so if doing live video is your thing, do live video and be very, very consistent with it. Okay. And so don't, if you, the people or the marketers or the businesses that try to do everything where they say, okay, I'm gonna post unique content on Facebook, I'm gonna post Snapchats every day, I'm gonna do an anchor podcast, I'm gonna do a Periscope, I'm gonna do all these different things. You run out of money, you run out of time and resources. You don't have time to do all those things, right? Now, as you start to grow, you can start to build those audiences. Okay, but so try to stick to two properties, but then make sure that you syndicate that content onto other social properties as well. Okay, but have kind of your main go-to platforms. Okay, and so this is a great way to cross promote your content. And so again, the reason I'm showing Ty is because he's to me one of the best at building a following and building an audience, and which ultimately leads to traffic. Right, when he does a live talk on Periscope or Meerkat or Facebook Live, he drives 20 to 40,000 people onto a call at one time. Okay. And how does he do that? Because he's good at driving traffic and building an audience. Okay. And if you aggregate all the different audiences that he has, right? 210,000 Twitter followers, almost 400,000 Facebook likes, almost 350,000 Instagram followers, almost 500,000 YouTube subscribers. You add all this stuff together, when he does one of his live talks, live streaming, that's getting syndicated out to, I mean, it's millions of people, right? So that's how these guys are able to drive just an insane amount of traffic, is because of their content and because of the followings that they've been able to build. And that's how you need to think about traffic, right? Now, like I said, paid traffic is a little bit more cut and dry, right? It's like, okay, well, I'm going to drive them to a sales page. Or like someone like Ty Lopez, he spent an enormous amount of money on YouTube ads, okay, to get people to subscribe, right? So believe me, I mean, to get to 500,000 subscribers, he didn't do that just from word of mouth, right? I mean, I'm sure a nice chunk of that was, but I can guarantee you that he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on paid ads. And I'm not saying you have to go and do that. You can scale up, you can ramp up slower than what he did, but he did this in such a short amount of time. I mean, he did that through paid ads, right? Now, buysellads.com is another really good resource. Okay, you should bookmark this. For one, it's a great place for buying banner spots. Okay, I'm not a big proponent of banners. Okay, just because people get banner blindness, and a lot of people just don't look at banners, right? I mean, how often do you look at banners, let alone click on a banner and actually go and check out the product, right? But what it does do is when you click on one of those publishers, you can see how many impressions they have. So you can see, and you can look by category, which means you can start to do your own intelligence, your own research to see where people are going to in your industry. Okay, that means that write down 5, 10, 20 of those websites. You want to start engaging with them in some capacity, finding out who runs those sites, finding out if you can do guest posting, find out if you can do cross promotions between your brands, right? So this is a great place. Again, you can buy banner ads, but I use it more for a intelligence research tool. Okay, and there's tons of different properties on here in all different niches. Okay, now, like I was saying to you guys before, traffic does not mean anything if you cannot convert it. Okay, so it's important to always be monitoring where your traffic is coming from and how well is it converting, especially if you're going to be doing paid ads. Okay, now I would not recommend, well, there's pros and cons to paid ads, right? Paid ads is very, very flexible. You can turn on a campaign, you can turn it off at will. So if a campaign isn't doing well, you just turn it off or you tweak it, right? Once it starts to do well, and if you can invest $1 and get $2 back, we'll then ramp it up, right? So it's a little bit more cut and dry there. Okay, now here's what I recommend. Okay, to me, it's start with easy traffic. To me, easy traffic would be if you have your own internal email list, if you have affiliate partners, right? I mean, that's free traffic, right? Just contacting an affiliate, seeing if they'll promote, or leveraging your own internal list, right? Then I would also do some small paid advertisements, right? But with a very small budget. Small paid ads on Facebook, most likely Facebook, just because of the hyper targeting you can do. But if a lot of people are on YouTube, I mean, you could do YouTube ads as well. Okay. You want to start to monitor conversions and send more traffic for what, the places that are converting the best, right? If your internal email list is converting the best, continue to promote it, right? If certain affiliates are doing really well, we'll talk to those affiliates and figure out different ways that they can promote your product, right? If a certain type of paid ad is working well, start to ramp that up. Okay, so as long as you're monitoring your conversions, start to send more traffic, monitor conversions, start to send more traffic, monitor conversions, continue to scale, right? And you can scale up, 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 and up. But again, if you don't have a product to sell, then it doesn't matter. I mean, all this traffic means nothing unless you're turning this traffic into money. Okay, and even if you're building the email list, if you still don't have a product, well, that doesn't help you either. Okay, so build an email list. Okay, and at least in some capacity monetize it through affiliate ads first, right? But I always like to say, hey, put in the effort to build a product and then start selling that, because then you can keep 100% of the profits on it. Okay, so The other thing you can start to do is test out different offers, right? And we're doing this right now. So, for example, the Sales Envy launch that we're doing, okay, it's a $97 to $297 price point. Okay, the sales page, we're driving traffic to a sales page. Okay, that is converting. It's a little low, but the EPCs are okay. Okay, I think it's like $2 earnings per visitor, earnings per click. But one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to host a webinar tomorrow for it. So we're testing out different formats to see if maybe doing a webinar will convert people much better for this type of offer. Okay. Or sometimes it's a video sales letter that does better. So don't be afraid to test different ways of selling one product. Okay. Just because you created a sales page and it didn't, and the offer didn't do well, maybe it was just something in your marketing, right? Maybe it was there was not enough education to get them to make an educated buying decision. Maybe you needed to get them onto a webinar. Maybe you need to get them onto a live stream. Maybe you needed, run different tests. Don't just stop because the first test you didn't do well and say, oh well, the product must be terrible, right? So here's what I recommend. For a failed offer, right? You do email and affiliate. Okay, didn't do that well. Internal email list, affiliate, right? Didn't do that well. Email, affiliate, Facebook ads, retargeting, webinars, right? So if you find a winner, okay, that converts really well, start to expand your marketing and do lots of different types of marketing. So for example, we have our Easy VSL product, which is probably one of the highest converting products that we offer. We started off by offering it through our internal email list, converted really well. So we're like, hey, affiliates, this offer converts really well. Why don't you promote it? We spend more of our time, money, and resources towards finding affiliates to promote that product because we know already that it converts well, right? We spend more money and time and energy on Facebook ads, on retargeting, on doing webinars for that product because we already know that it converts well, that there's a lot of demand for it. Okay. So, you know, test an offer and try out a few different things. If it doesn't do well, sometimes you need to scrap the offer. Sometimes you need to change up the offer. Maybe you need to add more to it, or just retool it, right? But if you find a product that does really well and it's converting well, that's when you put your foot on the gas and you start spending more of your energy on that product and driving more traffic to it. Okay, so hopefully, I mean that is some common sense there. Okay. Now, what I recommend doing is, again, doing email, affiliate, Facebook ads, retargeting, webinars, and then start to do additional sources. So like, okay, if you're only doing Facebook ads, maybe do YouTube ads or maybe do other, multiple retargeting platforms. As long as you're monitoring the return on investment, you can start saying, okay, well, source one, source two, are getting a positive return on investment. Well, source three didn't really do that well. Maybe we scrap it, right? Or maybe we tweak up the ads to try to get it to a positive return on investment, right? So you always want to test out different sources. Okay. Now, when you're just starting out, like I said, I think it's important to rely on free sources of traffic. That's one of the reasons why I always recommend, hey, build an email list, okay, and start to make friends with affiliate partners, okay? Because all that really essentially takes is your time. Like when you're connecting with affiliates, that's really just time, right? Because you're giving them a percentage of revenue for a commission. Okay, so that's why, to me, free source of traffic is the way to start out. But don't get me wrong, you can always start with a very small paid ad budget, turn it on, and monitor conversions. If it's doing well, then you can ramp it up. Okay, but first, leverage relationships, sweat equity can equal traffic. Okay, and that's how I started, right? Now, as you grow, you can start to make that transition from free to paid. Okay. There literally is endless amounts of paid traffic. If you wanted to go out and spend $1 million a day in paid traffic, you can do it. Okay. Now, certain traffic sources are going to be better than others, but if you wanted to, there's enough media that you could go out and buy $1 million. You could buy $50 million. I mean, there's almost an endless supply of paid traffic. Okay. So there's, again, pros and cons to that, right? If you're doing paid traffic and it's working for you, then and you're good at it, then you don't have to go and necessarily suck up to affiliates. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why vendors don't necessarily like affiliates partners, is because, hey, well, oh man, it sucks having to build those relationships, because yes, they do take time, right? And yes, you have to give them a significant percentage for them to want to promote. But if you're good at paid traffic and you say, hey, I could spend all this time trying to get affiliates on board and I'm going to give them 50%, when why not maybe spend $3 a lead? And when you look at your return on investment, that's like me paying affiliates 15%, right? So obviously there's a big difference there. And so, you're either paying affiliates or you're paying for ads, right? And then keeping the profit. So keep that in mind. Um, I want to talk about some retargeting platforms. So, if for those of you who don't know what retargeting is, that's probably one of the largest return on investments when it comes to any type of paid advertising. Okay, these are people that come to your page. Okay, you can retarget any page. It can be a sales page, it can be a webinar registration page, it can be any page. And you just place a simple cookie on their site, right? How many times have you gone to Amazon to go buy something and you're on the product page, the checkout page, and you don't buy it, right? And then a day later, a week later, that ad is following you around all over the place, right? That's retargeting, right? So these are ads that are being served to somewhat qualified people, right? Somewhat qualified prospects. To me, these are hot prospects because they've already landed on your sales page or your webinar page or whatever it may be. So they've already seen some brand exposure, and your offering, right? So it's much easier to convert someone that's already seen your offering than someone who is not. Okay, so AdRoll is a great platform for this. It's very simple to use. You just put in your credit card, say how much you want to spend per day, and you can choose lots of different options. There's lots of different targeting options. Okay, and so most of them, so there's the network is very, very large, because you can basically, anyone who comes to your website, you can cookie them and you can start serving ads on Google. You can start serving ads, I believe, on Facebook. You can start serving ads on lots of different platforms depending on where your audience ends up going, right? eBay also has their own retargeting platform. It's called eBay Enterprise. Google has their own, so Google remarketing. So you can serve Google AdWords, which are basically just remarketing, right? And then probably the best one is Facebook retargeting, because again, there's like a billion users on Facebook, and there's so many different ways that you can target people on Facebook. And they have a really nice advertising platform now. It's definitely evolved over the years. So at a minimum, I think that everyone should do some form of retargeting, right? And so if you have a sales page, it's so easy to create a custom audience on Facebook, put that retargeting pixel on your sales page, and serve an ad to only people that come to your site, right? Because not everybody is going to buy in the first exposure, right? And especially if you don't have an email list or you don't get them onto your list, it's another way to get them back to your website. Okay, so remarketing is a fantastic platform, and I think to me it belongs in every single marketer's toolkits. Okay. Let's see. Questions. Let's see. Mark, what's an acceptable EPC when we look at promoting our offers? So for me, anything below $1 is not doing very well. Okay. If I can, so basically it's earnings per click or an earnings per visitor, right? So for every visitor that I drive to a sales page, I want to be able to generate at least $1 from that person, right? Um, Anywhere between $1 to $3 is, to me, good. Anything $3 to $5 is great. $5 and plus is excellent. And continue driving as much traffic as you possibly can to that offer. Okay. That's a general rule of thumb that I look at. Okay. Now, a lot of people ask the same question when it comes to conversion rates. What's a good conversion rate when promoting an offer? To me, I take that number with a grain of salt, because you could have $1,000 product and the conversion rates are going to be very low, but your earnings per click can be very high, right? Because the product is so high, right? A product that converts at $10, you could have 40% conversion, but if it's only $10, you're only making so much from it, right? So you need to keep that in mind, and that's why I think EPC trumps conversion. Okay. How does pricing work for retargeting ads? Should we work with multiple networks at the same time? Yes, you can work with multiple networks at the same time. I would prefer that you start off with one platform. Okay, I would start off with Facebook. Okay, just because it's the most probably widely spread used technique, and it's um, very segmented, very targeted. Right now, the way that the pricing works for retargeting, there's two different options. You can pay per 1,000 impressions, or you can pay per click. Okay. Now they actually also have pay per action as well. So you don't pay unless they actually take an action, which it's gonna cost more. But I haven't really done a lot with that. And to be honest with you, I have people that manage our Facebook ads, so I don't handle a lot of that. But I can tell you right now, from looking at our metrics, I can tell you right now that our internal email list, some targeted affiliates, and remarketing those are like the three breadwinners for driving high quality sales and leads back to our site. Okay. So again, one of the really nice things about paid ads, and retargeting is a form of paid ads, is you can start very, very small. You could have a $5 a day budget. Okay. You can keep it very, very small and just monitor how well it converts. Okay. And if like I said, if you're investing $1 and making $2, we'll ramp it up, right? So you can start very small, but it's important that you monitor these things closely. Okay. It can definitely get out of hand, right? You can go and, if you put a budget of 50 or $100 a day and you have lots of different ads running, I mean, you can eat through a budget very, very quickly. Okay. And especially when it comes to something like Facebook. And if you're targeting a broad audience, your ads can get served up really, really fast, and you can eat through a budget very quickly. So it's just something to be cautious of. I mean, I wouldn't have that deter you from doing ads, but it's just something that you want to monitor. Okay. Okay. Other questions, guys? Does all of that make sense? I mean, like I said, when I think about traffic, I think content first. I think about, okay, what type of content can we create that people are going to want to engage with, right? And I go out and I look for content that people have already engaged with, that people like and comment, and then I try to create something similar along those lines, like things like infographics, right? Like we just created an infographic for our blog. We talk about topics that people like. So every podcast interview, every blog topic, it's very strategic. We're always thinking about, okay, what do people want, right? Like Snapchat and Periscope, and these are all like new things that are kind of trending. So that's how we can get a lot of people to our site, is through engaging content, right? And then we spread the word through our Facebook, our Twitter, our different profiles, right? What are the pluses and minuses of driving paid Facebook ads to a website versus a Facebook page? Good question. So the cons to taking a Facebook ad and driving it to your website is Facebook wants you they want to keep people on Facebook, right? It doesn't really help them very much when you take them off of Facebook. So what a lot of people do, and this is actually a really good strategy, okay? Build out a high quality Facebook fan page where you have great content, right? Drive your traffic to get people to like your fan page. And then once they like your fan page, then you can promote other stuff outside of Facebook, to get people to, opt into your list, buy your product, whatever it may be. And so the cost per click is generally is significantly lower if you keep people on Facebook. Okay. Remember this: when it comes to Facebook ads, Facebook does not care about your business. They don't care about your money. Okay. So if all they care about is the user experience. If you can provide high quality content and a good user experience and engagement within Facebook, they're much more likely to serve your ads and give you a lower cost per click. Okay. So that's the cons to driving traffic to a website. Now, the other thing you need to be careful of is their terms of service. They're very, very stringent nowadays, especially on what you can and cannot do, right? Like you cannot have an exit pop up on your site. Okay, so if you have an exit pop up where they want to leave and you say, hold on, wait a minute, they can ban your account for that. And that was one of the things that got our one account banned was we had an exit pop up on the sales page and they didn't like that and we didn't even know that at the time. And they'll basically be like, they won't even give you a warning. They're just gonna be like, hey, we're just gonna ban you because we don't like what you're doing. They don't even say, hey, well, just take down the exit pop, or they don't say, oh, we're gonna deactivate this ad because of X, Y, and Z. They just go and ban you. They don't really care. So you have to be very, very careful. You have to be careful with the messaging as well. Do not promise something outlandish. Okay. Even just things have to be very, very generic. Okay. When you're promoting on Facebook, promote good contents, good posts, that kind of stuff. Do not say, how to double your email list in 30 days. Okay. That kind of stuff is, you're walking a fine line. Okay. You just have to be very careful about that kind of stuff. Okay. So those are some of the cons that you have to be careful with Facebook ads. Okay. For building likes to your Facebook page, is the CPC lower if you target markets outside of your future paying markets, not US, UK, but places like India, just to grow the page and increase engagement? I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, I wouldn't go and target other industries or other demographics that are outside of your target market just to grow that number. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you could go and buy likes. I mean, they have these services that you could buy thousands of likes just to make it look better. But ultimately, what you're trying to do is build a list of engagements, right? You're trying to build a list of people who are going to want to comment and like your content, and that's ultimately who you want. So I would rather have 50 people who are hyper engaged than 1,000 people who are just basically, you're just not spamming them, but it's broad marketing. So I would be careful. I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, what other questions? Rather than go through the terms of service on Facebook, what's a good resource of what to watch out for when doing Facebook ads, so you don't get in trouble? I I know it's gonna sound rather boring, but please go through the Facebook terms of service. Okay, I'm serious. Go go through them. Facebook TOS, page guidelines, Facebook policies, terms of service. Okay, go through. Read this. Read the ad review process. Using text in your images. Okay, mentioning Facebook in your ads. I mean, it'll take you 30 minutes to go through this. Okay, do it. Please do it. Okay, it's so worth it. Download the printable version if you want to. Right? It's just so important to go through that stuff. Because and not to mention they're always changing their policies, which is kind of a pain in the butt. Um, Another thing you can do, you can go to our podcast, and if you listen to the first episode 1 with Kurt Mully, we talk about the secrets and mistakes learned from $7 million in Facebook ad spend. He walks you through. He talks a lot about what I'm talking about right now in more detail. So go and listen to this podcast. It's about 20 or 30 minutes long, and he talks a lot about the do's and don'ts of Facebook ads. Okay, so that's a good resource there. Oh, and guys, if you guys are interested in webinars, listen to episode 5. Jason Fladlin is like a savant when it comes to doing webinars. He has just such an awesome blueprint for his webinars, and he's generated over $50 million in sales on webinars. That was a great interview. So definitely listen to that one. Who is Jason Fladlin? You said, who is this? Jason is Jason Fladlin. Yeah, he's the owner of Rapid Crush. He has his own. He's an internet entrepreneur. He does a lot in Amazon as well. He does Amazon FBA stuff. Sells products on Amazon. Other questions? Anything else traffic related? Alrighty then. Not seeing any other questions. Okay, so I guess we will. Oh, one other thing I want to mention. I think I mentioned this on one of the first sessions that we had, was to create some sort of a mind map, like what we did for our content strategy. So, so we talked about. I went through this before, so I'm sure if you watch one of the, I forgot exactly which session it was, but I walked through this in detail. But so we built out a mind map of our content strategy. So, what's what questions, how could, answering all these questions for a piece of content. Who are we promoting it to? What channels are we going to use? What does need to prepare for the content? Who's involved to execute on it? Are we going to hard sell or soft sell content or products? How long will this promotion last? What's the story, right? And then we talk about, okay, for every new blog post that we do, we want to post it to our digital Kickstart properties. We want to post it to my own Mark Thompson properties. We want to post it to the blog. We want to post it to Matt Callen's properties. We want to email the email list. If we're going to do a new podcast, we're going to need to do an intro. We're going to need to do publish it on iTunes, Stitcher. So do a mind map like this, where for each piece of content that you create, have a strategy in mind for how you're going to go out and do an outreach strategy and promote it, right? But ultimately have that in the back of your mind. Well, what is the ultimate goal? Do you want to get them to like your fan page, so then you can get, have them see your content on Facebook, so then they go and hopefully buy a product or whatever it may be. So create a mind map like this, and I think it'll help make your content / traffic strategy a little bit more clear. Okay, guys, I'll go ahead and wrap it up again tomorrow at 2:00, same time. And I hope everybody has a great day. Come filled with lots and lots of questions. Any questions about anything that we've been talking about over the course? I want to hammer away at those and make sure that you are on the right path. Okay, so I hope that everybody has a good rest of the day, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.